Illuminari, I just subscribed for 2 months. Have fun, babe.
Ari, what are you doing? What are you doing resubbing? You're supposed to be strumming. But thank you, my love. Hi Tiger, how we doing, my lovely? How we doing? I'm here for the feet. No feet. Sorry. Doing good, good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. When you get off stream, Ari, tell me what animal you'd like for the subboard. It's August, so we get a new subboard, guys. That's exciting. Hell yeah. I hope you're all doing well. I was like, it feels like it's been forever, but I literally hung out with you all yesterday. It's great. It was great. Our co-working stream was amazing. I actually got shit done. I said sushi for dinner. I had work today, but it wasn't terrible either, which is great. We love that. Ari is a sub confirmed. How much trouble do you think I get into? Okay. You know I will. Like... I'm getting distracted by your chat. What are you doing? Go stream, you goose. Get out of here. Stop blowing up gens. Oh, fucking how good sushi. All right. Pumpkin flavored fan guy. How we doing? 4 years. God damn. Let's go. Let's go. You're like an OG-er. My camera's lighting keeps changing and it's pissing me off. Sorry, I'm in a gremlin mood today, guys. I don't know if you can tell. Oh, it's because my bloody white balance is on auto. Stop it. I just didn't want to have my big light on today. I just couldn't be bothered with the sun in my eyes, you know? It's warm. It's not warm. I am warm. But we're gonna be playing some Waterpark Sim, because Waterpark Sim like dropped officially as like it's out of beta now, which is really exciting. So we're gonna do that. And yeah, we're gonna watch people probably poo in my pool. No, you're good. You're good. I will never. I have no expectations of people being here all the time. Just kidding. You need to be here 24/7. God. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah, we're gonna be starting a new water park today. I'm really excited. Guys, the host girl alive is live. Shush, Georgia. Stop it. Stop it. How you doing, Pookie Boo? Okay, alright. Spotify's popping off with this playlist. How y'all liking the mullet? I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's great. I don't remember how I found you. I'm glad you're an Aussie. Thank you. Thank you. Your fringe is slappina. Thank you. It's just like, this is like day 2 too. Like I washed it yesterday and I haven't refreshed my curls and they're still like, it's amazing what happens when you actually take care of your hair properly. It's the whole vibe. Not you getting auto modded for ass fucking. This is the fucking best. I have a cool fucking accent. Look, my Aussie accent is fine, and like then my bogan drops though. My bogan comes out. That's not that cool. It's funny. It's funny. I wouldn't say it's cool. I love a mullet. Same. I had one for a little bit back in 2021, I think. I'm glad I brought it back. It's good. It's not fine. Your accent is the fucking best. Thank you. All right. Wolfie, do your hot stuff. Go back to your stream, Ari. What are you doing? Go focus on your gens, my love. What are you doing? Smash. You follow a shit ton of Aussies? Hell yeah. As you should. Hi Taz, how we doing? Actually, I didn't do a you can't sleep, it's 5. Oh, it's almost 6 AM for you? Ew. Rip. Poor thing. I just realized I didn't test my channel points. Let me do that.
Now I'm bashful.
That's okay. We're good. We're working.
I didn't know. I'm bashful.
Everyone say don't be bashful, Lorix. You're sick again? Oh, you poor thing. Aw. I'm sorry you're sick again. That sucks. Log off, I'm trying to flirt. As you should. My Thursday's just starting. Hell yeah. Mine is slowly but surely coming to an end. It's like almost 8 PM here for me. Sorry I'm late. I was eating sushi. I love sushi. You're in the East Coast of the States. Orlando, Florida. Nice. I went to Orlando back in a long time ago, actually. Jesus Christ. Be 10 years ago, I think. Shit. Had today off work, but the tattoo's healing nicely. Hell yeah. It looks so good. It looks so good. I'm glad it's healing nicely. Glad it's healing nicely. Yeah, I have my next session on my thigh. Not next week, but the week after. Yeah, I took the day off though, so that's good. You used to work at Disney World in Orlando. I worked at Disney for 4 years. Hell yeah, nice, nice. Yeah, I went with my family. We went to, yeah, we did Disney World and stuff. It was fun. It was good. We did, it's like the Mickey's Christmas thingy. Get a foot tattoo? Why? Y'all's obsession with my feet. I'm gonna cut them off. I'm not getting, I don't know if I want to get my feet tattooed or not, actually. I want to end up with a full suit. And I think I want hand tats, because hand tats are sexy as fuck. But I don't know if I want to get my feet tattooed. My sister rang me earlier to make sure I wasn't deaf because she thought I had a reaction to my oh no. Oh my god. Jesus Christ, Tess. Oh, a fake galore when? Mate, I mean, if people are happy to pay for them, I'm happy to post them. You just gotta pay for them. That's the thing. What to do? Hello, hello, Bimbo. How we doing, my love? How we doing? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. We're about to jump into some Waterpark Simulator. Because the full game just dropped, which is really exciting. So we're gonna start a new water park. Ari! Always talking about me. It's not my fault. Y'all keep bringing them up. Always talking about. You ever trust me to get sick with an literally, Tez. I can just guarantee, like, you get a tattoo, you're gonna get sick. Like, you get tattoo flu, like, to the next level. Guys, who would pay for feet? No one's gonna come clean in chat. Y'all know my socials. DM me. It's fine. All right. Let us build a new water park. I'm excited. Thank you for the likes, my lovelies. I appreciate it. All right. Let's go. Would you like to customize your character? Fuck yeah! Sorry, I'm swearing a lot. I'm in gremlin mode tonight. I make no apologies. Yo! Stop! Why does he look like a vampire? Hell yeah. Not my bullying. I'm gonna like fate. Please don't judge me if this message. Look. I'm not here to kink shame. You're so fine. It's not for me. But you do you, boo. This one's fucked. I haven't eaten like, oh my god, Tez. Can you get someone to like cook for you? Okay. All right. Freckles. I am like blue. I can be green. Okay. All right. Some freckles, some wrinkles, all the wrinkles. Oh, hell yeah. Smoothness. Oh. She deserves the dollars, you little perverts. This is true. I do. I need to buy more sushi, guys. That is oiled up. That's what that is. What a good song, right? It's so good. I mean, everyone's got their own, like, what they accept within their communities and what they accept within stuff, you know? Okay, alright, alright. This is sick! Hell yeah. Alright, alright. I could be a F1 driver. I don't know. This is it could be a dumpy. We could have a dumpy. A true dumpy. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay, yeah, I wanna we're gonna have it full dumpy. Full dumpy. Watermelon crushes. Yes. Yes. My mates had asked if I needed anything earlier, but I told them I didn't, because I didn't want to annoy them. I think I got noodles I can make, but I'm not hungry. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. But you should also allow your friends to help you, Taz. You should also allow your friends to help you. Good morning, lady. How we doing, darling? How we doing? I do not know the meaning behind this song. Thick. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Can I rotate her? That's... Oh, wait. Oh! Yeah! Yeah! Thank you for the likes, my loves. Nighty night, lovely. Hope you get some good sleep. Booby size. Yeah. Butts up. Stop. That was just the hips. That's not even the butt. Wait. Hell yeah. That is... That's quite the dumpy. That's quite the dumpy. Okay. Alright, you know what? That's fine. That's fine. Oh, okay. Me hair. Yeah. Do they have a mullet? Can I have a mullet? That's fucked up. I really fucked up shit. I don't know what you're doing here, but a funny article about it. Yeah, DM it to me. Hits your eyes. Oh, that's sick. That's sick. We're no better. I know. I am no better than a man. I am no better than a man. That was like my hairstyle in Destiny. My warlock. Oh, that's fun. Oh, I mean, it's cute. Doo-doo-doo. Not the Karen. Not the full-blown Karen. Let's see. Bold! Okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna go with that, like, longish one that we had before. That was kind of cute. Where is it? This one. This one. That's cute. Let's go with that. I like it. Alright. Lip tint. Ooh, that's fun. That's fun. Yeah. Full-blown, we can have clown makeup. Nice. Tattoos. Yes. Yes. Short. It's fine. Oh, that's my eyes. Woo! It's telling me I'm right. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. All right. Hell yeah. Outfit. Okay. I sent it to you. Most of the time they play it, all the man, it's hard to get the back of the room. Fuck yeah. As they should. As they should. Where are we at? Goddamn. I feel like we're running, like... Do we go the crop top? Go the Billie Eilish. It's pretty fucking cute. Fuck yeah. Oh, that's cute art. It's a full-blown hazmat suit. No one's gonna tell! We're a rubber ducky. Riddle, thank you so much for the roses. I appreciate it. We're a duck. Okay, we're in the duck. The red shoes make it. I can't. That's so good. Okay. If we hit 20 subs, I will get a duck outfit with a snorkel. Next stream. I will recreate this. Stop. Oh my god. Okay. Yep. Okay. Oh shit, yeah. Why does that go perfectly with the spirit box in the background? Nashi, how are you, my love? Oh my god. Look, there I am! That's exactly how I dance too, team. It's exactly how I dance. Oh my god. Alright. Ooh, okay. Do we want the city or do we want the beach? What do we reckon? Neons and cool rides? I feel like we should go beach, yeah. Beach. Normal. Alright. Do I skip the tutorial? No, we're not going to skip the tutorial because... Oh, I forgot. Ooh. What should we name our park? Part of me wants to go something really inappropriate because it would be funny. Sploosh-tastic. Sploosh. That was fucking Pan from Archer, wasn't it? Sploosh. Oh, fuck. Alright, what do we reckon? Team? Yup. Yup. Sploosh-tastic. Literally her. Hell yeah. I haven't watched Archer in so long. Freezing! This song is making me act up and throw an ass right now. As you should. As you should. Alright. We quit our hated job and used the last of our savings to chase a dream. You bought an old abandoned water park. Can you restore it to its former glory, or will it fail just like it did under its previous owner? Oh. Not my ducky hands! Sup? Alright, alright. Yeah. Do we not do phrasing anymore? No more phrasing. No phrasing. Dusty water, broken down water park. There's definitely seems a better days, but you're here to change all that. First, let's clear out the old buildings. Alright, we got this. Hell yeah. Let's do this. Oh, it's Sandy. Sandy Freckle. I said I posted earlier another music video. Oh, really? Oh, no, Taz. Still not there. Not exactly 5-star cleanliness. Trash is everywhere. Let's be real. No one's lining up to relax next to a pile of old soda cans. Grab a trash bag, clean up the mess, and toss it all into the dumpster. Let's... Whoa. Whoa. I am back out the front. I cannot name a fave character from Archer. I swear to God, they're also good. They're so good. So good. Alright. Trash bag. Alright. Pick up. Pick up. I'm the trash man. I need to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Trash bag is full. Rude. That was like 3 pieces of rubbish. Dark humor itches my brain, literally. Whee! Nice throw. Nice cock. Also, guys, I bought a Wii the other day. I bought a Wii. I think I got Wii Sports, so I need to get a second controller. Trash bag is full. How rude. How rude. But yeah. Wii Sports stream. Did I really? Okay, alright, it's fine. It's fine. Alright. Yeet you later. Let's go. Nice. Nice. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Remove bush. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know we're supposed to be having full bush summer, but had to remove it. I'm the trash man. All right. Is the music all right? Do we want to turn the music off? Do we want to put some different music on? We vibing? All right, let's pull down the newspaper. With me ducky hands. Is it good? Cool, yeah. Building your park. Kind of water park without a pool. Each pool you build raises the number of maximum guests your park can have. Oh, there is going to be some ads in a second, my loves. Press B to open the building menu, select a rusty pool, and place the blueprint in your chosen spot. Then hit it with your hammer a couple of times to build it. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Kaylee with the first. How you doing, dolls? How you doing? Let me boy. All right. All right. Where do we want to put our pool?
I didn't know. I'm
Bashful.
bashful.
Everyone say don't be bashful, Lorix. All right, let's pop it. Let's pop it like here. Yeah. Yeah. Less than 24 hours now and I'm officially 24. We get a happy birthday. Let's get some happy birthdays in chat for Lemmy Boy.
Lizard.
Yay. All right, close that plug. Ooh. All right. Hell yeah. All right, we need a diving board. Yeah. Let's go there. Nice. Hello, T. How we doing? How we doing? Let me get to happy birthday, lizard. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Time to open. Let's go. Let's go. All right. All right. This place is fucking filthy. Open the park. Night shift. Hello, Clav. How we doing? How we doing? My park is open. Hello. You want to pass for an adult for 4 hours? Let's go. How do I... Oh, yeah. Ticket. Don't mind. Let's go. Let's go. Sour candy. Hell yeah. 4 hours for an adult. Let's go. Who's honking? Who's honking? 4 hours for a senior. Let's go. Let's go, Zouse. You don't look all day over 40. Chicken cheaters. We gotta go kick some ass. We gotta go kick some asses. Already. Already, team. Where are they at? Where are they at? There they are. There he is. You, buddy. Time flies. Been 4 years already. Let's go. Gotcha. I can pick them up. Can I pick him up? I can pick. Oh! Oh, I fell over. Hello. He slipped over again. Okay. Oh no! God damn it, Dumpy! How do I put shit down again? I can't remember. Can I just... Okay, how do I... Controls. Help! Help! Q. Okay, there we go. Alright, we're good, we got this, we got this. Alright. Okay, let's mop these puddles. You guys can hear your stream now. Hear me being an absolute fucking chaos gremlin, laughing at people that were sneaking their way into my water park and then slipping over. Splash the cash. Let's go. Slide pass as well. Okay. Alright. Alright. We don't even have a slide yet though. Imagine selling a slide ticket. Sounds about right. What do you mean? What do you mean? Alright, alright. Does this mean do we have a slide? Can we we can buy a slide. Let's go. Hell yeah. Yeah. Alright. Nice. Nice. Let's go. From chill to relief. Comfy lounges and some toilets. I mean, yeah, toilets are probably handy so people don't poo in my pool. Alright. Wait, is that another? Oh no, they're gonna die. Oh no. Zarya, get out. Get out. You're tired, my love. Good. I love that I can pick them up now. This is unreal. Alright, utilities. Sun lounges. Let's pop some here, I reckon. Oh. Oh, I didn't want to put it there. That's fine. How do I rotate? I want to rotate the... Floor isn't meant for sleeping. Don't sleep there. You know what? That's fine. We're gonna do that. That's okay. Have I not? I haven't unlocked toilets yet, I don't think. Y'all good? I don't think your neck's supposed to turn like that. Hello? Hello? Alright, alright. I want to rotate them. I can't remember how to rotate. Also, Ari, my love, what animal would you like for your sub earlier? T, thank you for the sub.
Just subscribed with Prime.
Thank you, my love. I appreciate it. I can't remember how to rotate shit. You know what? That's fine. It's fine. T, thank you for the sub, my love. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. How you doing? What animal would you like your sub to be on? I have cat, frog. I have rabbit, penguin, chicken, bear, dealer's choice. So much power. I'm gonna go with the frog because I think the frog's my favorite. It's so cute. Look at its little cheeks. It's so cute. Hell yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. A customer. Hello. Pass for 6 hours for a teen and they want a slide pass. Hell yeah. There you are, my love. Let's go. Let's go. What was I doing? Controls. Yeah. That doesn't help. I spent the last 5 minutes trying to sync my Amazon for that. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Was that someone at the... No guest sickness mode. Sometimes guests may throw up. No guest sickness mode removes related visual and audio effects. Oh. I'm gonna keep it in for now, but if it's too much, I might remove it just because I don't do very well with vomit. So we'll see. We'll see. Yes. What animal would you like for your sub? Hello, Bean. How you doing? I got frog. I got rabbit. I got penguin. Frog as well. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. This is good. We're doing well. What's going on over here? Whoa. Why am I not moving? Ew. Eee. Nice. Nice. I think we had a research point, I think. Let's go have a look. Let's go see. Let's go see. Do-do-do-do-do. Oh, I can't interact with it yet, I don't think. Staff leaderboard at Sploosh-tastic. Haven't played this in a game of 500. Yeah, they dropped the full game. So this is officially 1.0. They dropped it the other day. I'm really excited. I've got a beach theme now, which is very exciting. There's multiplayer and you can customize your character. So my character is so cool. Hello, my love. You would like a pass for 6 hours? You're a senior, but you do not want a slide pass. All right. There you go. Done. Amazing. Amazing. All right. Let me... Yeah, so good, Bean. So good. Oh. Braylon would like a pass for 4 hours. They're an adult and they want a slide pass. Hell yeah. There you are. Let's go. Let's go. Ooh, 7. 8 hours. Good God. All right. And a slide pass for a senior. Let's go. You are... Gilf? bit of a gilf there. Bit of a gilf there. Thank you very much. Sorry. And suspended tea. People. All right. Hell yeah. Let's go. Leon, 6 hours, adult. No slide pass. How boring. Go down the slide. It's fun. The fact that people are paying extra to go down that slide, though, is kind of diabolical. Not gonna lie. Oh no! Oh no, guys! Guys, someone's pooed! Someone's pooed in the pool! Why? My bad. Riley! Why? Why would you poo in my pool? Oh, ew, someone was sick. Gross. Okay. Yuck. Had too much coffee? Look, valid. Oh, it's bubbling! Okay, I can deal with that. Oh, there's a poo over here too! Ew. I need a toilet. I need to build a toilet, guys. Hi, Gigi. Was it you that pooed in my poo? Let's go. Let's go. All right. Oh, more trash. Where do these people get the trash from, man? GG. Also BRB. BRB. Utility. Toilets. I can't. I haven't unlocked the toilets yet. I forgot that we charge for toilet usage too. Diabolical. Actually diabolical. Alright. How much money do we have? We've got 400. $400 redos. Do we buy a second pool? Let's buy some more lounges. Okay. Oh. Oh! Guys, I figured it out. I've remembered how we do this now. We're good. We're good. I'm a genius. I'm a genius. Nice. Boop. Oh, we got a toilet. Amazing. Okay, we can build a toilet, everybody. It's all good. It's all good, everybody. Yeah. Alright. Marketing. Let's go. Let's go. Also, T and Ari, my loves, you guys are on the board. Thank you. Alright, we're gonna hit the streets. We're gonna hit the pedestrians. Alright. Oh, they won't count towards our guest limit that way. That's cool. Hello, Riverside. How we doing, my love? How we doing? Thank you so much for the likes. I appreciate it. Alright, no more poos in the pool right now, so that's good. Oh, is someone... No, no one's waiting there. We need to print some flyers. Nice. Sploosh-tastic! Oh. Let me go pop the, Tired? Hell yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And busy? Valid. Same. Same. Alright. Let's go hand out some flyers. Nice throw! Hello? Already wants a ticket? Hell yeah. Nice. Then come. Duh. Hi! Thank you for the follow! Woohoo! Yeah, nice. So much fun, yeah! So much fun. Oh! Oh my I can't remember. Bad reviews, damn. Decoration needs improvement. I saw something disgusting. Look, that's fair. I got absolutely fucked on, right? Right? I can't find a trash bin. I need some lounges. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I had low expectations about the park. Valid. I had a good rest and I feel fun. I'm glad you feel fun. We made no money today. We lost $240, but that's okay. It's only day one. It's only day one. We're gonna make a loss at first. All right, let's go clean this place up, shall we? Could we always get hit by the cars? I can't remember. It's been a while since I played. So good. All right. Nice. Yeah. All right, let's... Can I, no. Okay, no poos and pool. We're good. Ugh, I feel like I need to turn my light on. I'm sorry, you can mop, apparently we can mop the sand. Apparently we can mop the sand. Hello, Nelson. You need, oh, I need to open the park first. Ah, okay, I see. All right, I can't hand out the flyers right now. I need to go to sleep. Where's my, oh, we've got a caravan. Nice. All right, hang on. It's called Waterpark Simulator, my love. And it is so much fun. So much fun. All right, let's open the park, shall we? Can we? Do we have any bins yet? No, not yet. No decorations. Okay. That's all right. That's okay. It's actually a DeTunes merch. As a big streamer, he does a lot of paranormal investigations called The Detour. And yeah, this was some of his merch. So sick, right? All right. Let's go. Ooh. We did start a new park. Senior slide pass for 6 hours. Again, another gilf. I'm about it. His name's Sincere too. But yeah, they dropped the full game this week. Already wants a ticket. Okay, cool. Then come. Hello, Melanie. Having a blast. Adeline. Nice. Gilf, what did I walk back into? We walked back into hot seniors in your area. Oi, what are you doing, Cody? Oh, oopsies. I didn't mean to push them over then. Thank you so much for the tiny dinies. Actually, I have no qualms about smacking them. Because, thank you for the 5 tiny dinies. We have... Get out of here. Yeah, you. Yeah, you. Get out of there. Buttheads. Hello. I love pushing people over. It's fantastic. 4 hours, teen, slide pass. Let's go. Let's go. Love Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park's the best. Okay. 4 pass, senior with a slide. Let's go. See what I mean? See what I mean? These seniors. These seniors are hot, man. I'm about it. I'm about it. When those little pop-up ads come up and they're like, hot seniors in your area, they're not lying. They're not lying. You're so funny. Thank you. Thank you. I can't be laughing so much at myself, but I am just that funny, you know? That's how I found my new man. Hey, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love that for you. I mean, dating older isn't always a bad thing. This is true. This is true. I do love me some hot older people. Click now to find people in your area. Hot dog stand! Guys, we get glizzies. We're getting glizzies. Let's go. Let's go. I should probably get the rusty trash bin too. Also, I forgot to do the sour candy from earlier. I apologize. Man, 20-year-old married a 9-year-old billionaire? Not for me. Hey, look. Fuck it. Why not? Uh-oh. Uh-oh, there's people. Ah. Yay. Let's go. We got this. We're doing so good. What's up? 4 hours senior slide pass. Look at that. Guys. So many seniors. So many seniors are coming to my park. I love this. Adult slide pass. Hell yeah. There you go. 6 pass. Senior. And a slide. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Uh-oh, is there another poo? Oh, no! Guys, someone pooed in the pool again! No! Why? Oh, there's 2! Y'all disgusting. Oh! Oops, this link? Nah, it's not dodgy. Yeah. There's literally toilets over here. Why? Samara? Hmm? Get out of here. Did someone just... Ew. Was there someone else? Was there another person? I think there was. You have concerns about the poo in the pool or the rest of the conversations? Yeah, there they are. Leon! Oh. Damn, my ducky dumpy. Yeah, you! Get out of here. How you doing, Stasi? Nice purple check mark, by the way. Can we get some hype in chat for Stasi, please? I think I missed the combos, but everything in this game, look, that's, yeah, valid. Valid. Shh, no shh. I'm so proud of you. You're incredible. Wait, is that Samara still? Yeah, that was rude. You snuck your way into my water park and didn't pay for a ticket. And you're calling me rude. The nerve. The nerve. See you later, Riverside. Thanks so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for the likes and for the gifties. I appreciate it. All right. All right. Oh, we need to put some bins down. That's what we need to do. Where are we? Trash bin. Here. Over here. Oop. One there. And one over here. Yeah. All right. Hottie dogs. Hot dogs. Let's go. Let's go. Maybe not near the big trash. Let's go. Let's go here. That's good. That's good. Nice. Nice. Boop. 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 Whee. Build a hot dog stand. Oh, we gotta go buy hot dogs from across the road, don't we? Need to stock the hot dog stand. Hot dog shortage! Oh no! Oh no! Guys, we've got a glizzy shortage. That can't be happening. But food means refilling the poop machines. This is true. This is true. But it does mean glizzies.
Welcome to Kmart.
No space. Oh. Excuse me. Excuse me. Sorry. Oh, coming. Oh, you're back. You're actually going to buy a ticket this time? 4 hours, no slide pass, and for a senior. There you go, my friend. All right. Yeet. All right, let's go buy some hottie dogs. $25 for hot dogs. Oh, I almost got hit. I almost got hit by that car then. Not all guests are equal. Every now and again, a special guest might show up. Some loud, some funny, some just plain stinky. Not the stinky guests. Oh no, it's Queso! No, 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 no. Let me pick you up. You're gonna eat my hot dogs. You're gonna eat my hot dogs. No, no. I got him. It's okay, everybody. 6 hours, senior, slide pass. Alright, I got you, babe. There you go. No, no, he's back again. He's back again. No. We sell the hot dogs, quick. Add mustard. Mustard. There you go, my friend. Add both. No. Mustard. Ketchup. No, queso. Get out of here. Oh, I pushed everybody over. Oh, and they threw up. Ew. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, did someone buy a hot dog that like... I think they did. I think... Oh! Sorry. Watch where you're walking, dolls. Yeah, you! Gotcha. At least he bought a hot dog, I guess. When did that get added? That's been there since the start, actually. It's very funny. Fuck, I got one. Oh, no! They've pooed outside the glizzy stand! Guys! Why? 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 Oh. Man. Man. Alright, alright. It's fine. It's fine. We got this. We got this. Okay, we need more hottie dogs. We need more glizzies. Surely this job can't be worth it. Well, we put all our savings into it, so we kind of own it. So it's gotta be worth it. It's gotta be worth it. 6 hours, teen, no slide pass. All right. Hello. 6 pass, adult with a slide. Let's go. Let's go. There you are, my friend. All right. No more poos in the pool. I literally have some toilets over here. Why do they keep... I mean, I know that they're like glorified outhouses, but like... Can we stop pooing in the pool? Like... Oh, what's up? Oh! Did anyone clean this? Oh. Yes. Yes. Yes, they did. Hello, Cynthia. 6 hours, senior, slide pass. Let's go. Let's go. We got this. Cody is waiting for a hot dog. What would you like? Add ketchup. Of course, my friend. There you go. This feels like a very unforgiving... Yeah, truly, truly. Oh, no. What are you doing? I am getting sus at anyone that just, like, stands in a corner like that. Like, you're about to take a poo? Nope, this way. Yeah. Ooh, ew, ew. My slide was disgusting. Yuck. There we go. There we go. Gold, we're like diamonds in the sky. Here's what we are told. Nice. Goodbye, you were sold. Nice. That's all clean now. Except, what's the slide at, actually? There's gonna be some ads in a second, my loves. I apologize. Ooh. Ew. Perfect. There we go. Sex and love and guns and cigarettes, a fucked up world. Hell yeah. Alrighties. How much money do we have? We got like 420. That's good. That's good. Hello? Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, alright. Decoration needs improvement. I got bullied. You didn't get bullied. I just accidentally pushed you over when I was trying to stop Queso from eating all the hot dogs. I saw something disgusting. Some attractions were dirty. Look, that's valid. That's valid. I forgot to clear it. Fair. Fair. Alright. Let's see. What do we got? Saxon. Okay. Rusty showers. Woohoo! Okay. Oh, we're gonna need the water gun for the stinky. Hi, beautiful girl. Hi. Hi. You come to say hi? Everybody say hi to Gigi. Say hi, baby. Come here. Come here. Oh, look at you. Look at my little fluffy girl. I love her so much. I love you so much. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Come here. Look at my little floofer. My little floofer, aren't you? Hmm? My little floofy. That's not for you. That's mommy's. Good girl. Good girl. She is the sweetest bean. Aren't you? Huh? Ah. I say that as Nibbles tries to nibble on me. Hmm? Hmm? Does the tail? I know. She's so fluffy. She's so fluffy. It's so cute. You are so cute. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Ah, I love her so much. All right. All right. Okay, we've unlocked what we can. Let's see. Do we add a second pool? I reckon we add a second pool. What do we reckon, team? Let's do it. Let's do it. Why not? Why not, I say? Does she ever just climb up on your bench and just what? Oh my god, literally, yeah. She, especially in the kitchen, she loves coming and sitting on the kitchen bench and just watching us cook. It's one of her favorite things. It's so sweet. It's so sweet. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, let's go build those. Still gotta sell 2 more hot dogs. Alright. But yeah, she just like loves like just watching. Like she sits there and just watches us cook. It's one of her favorite things. Nice. Dunk. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. Oh! Oh. Nice. Could you imagine if this just worked IRL? Like, just smacking shit with a hammer was just like, yep, it's repaired now. You're good. Excellent. Ooh. How did I miss that bit of dirt? I do love that we can just mop the sand. Mopping the sand is very funny. Okay. We got hot dogs. We're good. We've now got 2 pools for them to poo in. Alright. Let's go. Let's go. Alright. I'm gonna print some flyers. More flyers. Oh, the flyers. Yeah. All right. We are open. Hello. This is dull. You're dull. Enlightenment takes time and more of my tasks. Valid. Valid. Did I give you a ticket? I'm loving this. Already wants a ticket? Let's go. Let's go. Yay. Yeah. Hello. You want a pass for 6 hours. You're a senior and you want a slide pass. Let's go. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. 6 hours, adult, no slide. I do get in quite the 6 hours senior, no slide. Alright. Alright. You want teen with a slide pass. Let's go. 6 hours also. Excellent. Alright. 8 hours. You're a teen and you want a slide pass. You look like a bit older than a teen, but you know what? I'm not gonna judge you. You're good. You're good. 4 hours, senior, no slide. Nice. Emma! Do you reckon they'll turn into a mermaid when they jump in the water? That would be funny. I'm gonna go down the slide. Feeling angry, I'm depressed, I'm in bad decisions, I make bad decisions. Yeah, nice. Oh, hello. Yay! 1 ticket for an adult, please. Here you are, my friend. Grumpy, how you doing? How you doing? Cleo, the condensation! Emma! When did I grow into a fucked up mess? Feeling angry and depressed. I make bad decisions. I make bad decisions. So much fun. So much fun. How's it going, friends? It's going well. It's going well. Emmy! Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you too, my friend. We are playing some Waterpark Sim. We're having so much fun. Teen and a slide pass. Let's go. There you are, my friend. And his roommate's girlfriend. Hey, hey, what's wrong? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. My apologies. Hey, why do I keep getting bad reviews of customers feeling like they're being bullied? I don't know. I don't know. Can't be because I'm accidentally pushing them over every 2 seconds at all. That's certainly not it. Hello. 4 hours, teen, slide pass. Let's go. Archer! Guys, it's Archer. 4 hours, senior, slide pass. 4 hours, senior, slide pass. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Again with the gilfs, man. Again with the gilfs. I'm about it. 4 hours, teen, slide pass. Must feeling angry and depressed. I make... Ooh! How is that full again? Jesus, I just changed it. I'm getting off my head. I make bad decisions. Ooh, Onyx wants a hot dog. Want both? Excellent. I can do that for you. I can do that for you. There you are, my friend. $15 for a bloody hot dog. Jesus, we are ripping people off. They are not being bullied at all. Just randomly pushing a silver painted man near a toxic waste bin. That's it. That's it. You know, you just shouldn't have been standing there whilst whilst I was trying to clean up, you know? Ah! Okay. Alright, well, let me clean this up. Did that prompt say let's go? Surely not. Surely not. Oh! Oh! Wasn't me. It wasn't me. I don't know what people are talking about. 8 hours. Let's go. Adult slide pass. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Did you just... No. You smacked someone with the hammer. Eee. Me outhouses are looking a little worse for wear. There we go. Nice. 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 In my defense, I was smacking it first, and then he decided to sit directly where I was trying to clean. Oh! You took us all out, Samara! Oh my god. Oh my god. These customers are so dumb, man. I can't. I can't. Emma is waiting for a hot dog. Coming, Emma. Hello. You just want mustard? Just mustard on your glizzy? Here you go. Yay. Let's go. Hello. Ooh. Add ketchup. Let's go. Guys, we're half a star. We're half a star. Meanwhile, my friend. Guess waited too long for a ticket? Oh no, I'm sorry. Teen, 4 hours, no slide. Let's go. I was a little distracted by everyone trying to die. See what I mean? They see a customer working and they're like, they see a customer, a person working and they're like, you know what we're going to do? So I'm going to stand directly there. Directly there. Nice. Ew. Nice. Oop. Yeet. Let me grab that. Yeet. Mop that dirt. I wish a hammer could just fix. I know, right? Literally, smack me with a hammer and fix me, please. Add both. All right, mustard and ketchup for you, Violet. Another stinky bin. I mean, on the plus side, we seem to have, touch wood, solved the majority of the poo in the pool problems. Which is good. Which is great, you know? Clean that up for you, Dust. Repair this one too. Oop. A guest is waiting to buy a ticket. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right. 4 hours for a senior, no slide. Nice. 4 hours, teen slide pass. There you are, my friends. Clean this up. Wolfie, Wolfie. Hi, Neshi. How you doing? Do you listen to President? No. Should I? Someone's waiting for a hot dog. Nice. The band. I think I've seen them around, but I haven't like actively tried to listen. You are my friend. All right. Oh, we need to build some showers too. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Shower. Here we go. There. And there. Nice. All right. Nice. The early stuff is a little too new, but the newer stuff is a godsend. Hell yeah. I'll check it out. I'll check it out. Alright. We've built some showers now for the stinkies. Oh shit, we got a line. Here we go. 6 hours. Teen slide pass. There you go. 6 hours. Teen slide pass. Nice. That was easy. You are my friend. 6 hours adult slide pass. Here we go. Nice. Nice. 8 hours senior slide pass. Let's go. Get it. You are my friend. 8 hours teen slide pass. Hell yeah. Everybody's buying slide passes. We're making cashola. Woohoo. This is exciting, team. This is exciting. Ooh. I'm cleaning. I'm cleaning. They're like, I've seen clean the place. I literally got the mop out. I've got the mop out. Leave me alone. I'm just a girl. I'm actually just a duck. But, you know. What can I say? Oh. Someone is waiting for a hot dog. Just plain. Just a plain dog. Alright. Okay. Oh, someone's waiting. Excuse me, I just gotta get some glizzies.
Welcome to Kmart.
I got some glizzies, guys. It's okay. It's all good. Oh no! Impatient. So impatient, man. Bin. We got it. We got this. Yeet. Oh, another stinky bin. What's a glizzy? Glizzy's a hot dog. Oh, someone wants a hottie. Oh, we turned a profit today. Let's go. Let's go. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of us, guys. Nice. I'm excited for this night mode thing. That's going to be cool. All right. Oh, bless you, Matthew. Okay, we got some research points. Oh, I can't unlock it yet because I'm not at 1 star. Oh, I still need to sell. What? That's like 7 more tickets. Okay, we should get it. We should get it tomorrow. Tomorrow morning we'll get it. We got this. Thanks for the hydro, babe. My water bottle's almost empty, actually. I should probably fill that up. Whoopies. That's fine. Actually, whilst we're here, I am just going to rotate these. Everybody else hydrate as well. Hydrate or die straight. Yeah, it's better. That's better. Alright. Repair everything. Nice. Nice. Just before we open. You know? New research point. Let's go. Let's go. Excellent. So we can start the day off. Chugs water. As you should. As you should. Nice. Nope. Clean. Clean. We repaired. Yep. We're good. We're good. We're good, everybody. Okay. All right. We are all clean and repaired. Actually, I didn't check these. Nice. No worries at all, Lemmy. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you get a good snooze. I hope you have a good snooze. What's the time? 9 o'clock. Alright. Come on, people. Let's get some flyers going, maybe. Make a pot. You're all vampire here. You already wants a ticket? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hi there. Come to the water park. Come to the water park. Nice. Nice. Oh, there's someone sneaking in. There's someone sneaking in, team. 4 hours, teen, slide pass. Let's go. Excuse me one moment, please. Excuse me, Dals. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. God. 8, adult. There's someone else just walking in. There's someone else just walking in. How rude. 14. No slide pass. Where'd they go? Excuse me for a second here, team. Yeah! Get him! We got him! 6 hours. Teen. No slide pass. Alright, alright. There you go, my love. Yeah, my nose is itchy. 6 hours. Teen, but with a slide pass this time. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, 2 more customers. And then we get our first star, guys. And now there's no way back. Hell yeah. Why would you line up behind that show when there was a slip and slide? Yeah, you know? We need to get the pressure washer out on the on these bad boys. The devil told me. We should go down the slide. Amazing. Hello. 4 hours. Teen. No slide pass. I'm coming home. 4 hours. Teen. Also with a no slide pass. Alright. Alright. Yay! 4 hours. Adult. Slide pass. Let's go. Go. Hello, treasure. 4 hours. Teen. No slide pass. Guys, we can unlock a bunch of shit now. So come rain on my parade. Okay. Alright. What do we reckon? Okay, we should probably have some basic pools. That's probably an idea. Oh, we do need some decorations too. Okay, well that's just money. Okay, so let's do that. Let's do that. Basic toilets is good. Okay, let's go. Basic toilets. Basic pools. I low-key want bigger pockets. Yeah. Yeah. And a lemonade stand. Let's do it. Let's do it. Ooh, you want some glizzies? Just a plain glizzy? Okay. Add both. Hell yeah. Mustard. Ketchup. There you are, my friend. Excellent. Is there anyone waiting? No, we're good. Okay. Alright. Oh, stinky trash. Why are you just standing there, Titan? You good? Cassidy wants a glizzy. Plain. You guys are weird. You know what? I'm not gonna yuck people's yum, but like a plain hot dog, like no sauce, no nothing. That's a little strange, right? Okay. Okay, team. Uh-oh. Someone's panicking. We gotta go give him a push. We gotta give him a push. This is my favorite part, guys. I love pushing people. We ready? We ready? Yeet! Hello, my love. You're a teen. You want 6 hours and a slide pass. Let's go. Let's go. Excellent. Edward, 4 hours. You're an adult and you want a slide pass. Nice. There you are, my friend. Whoop. Trash can. Because I'm the trash man. Whee! Boop. Nice. Alright. Ooh! People! Oh, trash! All right. Hello, Anthony. Four pass. Jesus Christ. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It's fine. It's fine. All right. Trash. Give me that. Out of control. Yeet. Excellent. All right. Let's build a lemonade stand. Baby girl, this could all be yours. Lemonade! Lemonade, lemonade. Alright. This could be a bad idea considering I have no staff. But that's okay. It's okay. It's alright. I thought that said game art. I thought that said game art. And you know what?
Welcome to Game Art.
It should. It should say game art. Oh, hello. Grid, nothing last. How do I... Where do I restock? I want lemonade. Add lemon. I couldn't buy the lemons. To hold the or did I miss? They're right there. Guys, I found them. It's okay. Your park looks a little too fun to be realistic. Thank you. Thank you. Oh. All right. I'm getting there. What do you want? Add lemon. I almost didn't add the lemonade then and just hand her a cup of lemon. Add mustard. All right. Mustard. There you are, my love. Hell yeah. Oh. I'll turn the altar. Nice. Nice. Clean, clean, clean. I thought Naomi was just floating there for a second and I was very concerned. Very concerned. Cassidy wants some lemonade, but there's a customer waiting for a ticket. All right, hang on. 8 hours. Teen. Slide pass. Let's go. Nice. Bo would like a teen ticket for 6 hours with a slide pass. Let's go. There you are. All right. Coming. Add ice and lemon. There you go. I'll be yours. Trash. Not the trash. Give me the trash. No one seems to be pooing in my pool anymore though, which is good. Which is very good. Nope. Nope. Ooh. Ew. Yuck. Yay. Bo wants a hot dog now too. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Excuse me. Ma'am. Really? Really? Anyone who has worked a retail or hospitality job knows that that is exactly what customers are like. Like, oh, I'm standing here, like, trying to fix everything for you, trying to clean the store or whatever, and they will just step over you. Like, it's actually ridiculous. 6 hours adult slide pass. Let's go. Naomi wants a hot dog. Ooh, we might need to get some more hot dogs soon. Add ketchup. Let's go. Let's go. 1000%. Literally. All right. Clean the shower. Oh my God. I didn't poo, but I dropped my snackies in there. Now they're wetting in the pool. No, not the snackies in the pool. Rip. Rip a roonies. All right. All right. Wait, do we have good toilets now, don't we? We do. We have basic toilets, guys. All right, let me get me sledgehammer. Let me get me sledgehammer. Oh, hang on. Hello. 8 hours, senior, slide pass. Let's go. Let's go. How you doing, Killer Cool? How you doing? I need me sledgehammer, please. I'm gonna quickly destroy these. And then replace them with better toilets. Watch someone take a shit. Oh, excuse me. Oh, Doing good. Taking your brother to drama camp. Ooh, that's cool. That's cool. There's gonna be some ads coming up in a second, my lovelies. I do apologize. Nice. All right. Oh, stinky trash. Give me that. Give me that. Yay. All right. No. G. No. Q. That's the one. I knew it was a rounded letter. Oop, hello. Oh, damn. Whoops. 6 hours. Team slide pass. Okay, bye, Penny. How rude. How rude. Okay, alright. We need to get some decorations going in here. That's what we need. Okay, we're gonna change out. We're gonna change out one of the pools, I think. I'm loving this. McKinley wants a hot dog. Plain. There you are. McKinley now wants a lemonade to go with her hot dog. Hell yeah. Ice and lemon. There you are. Alright. Gotta clean these. New research point. Let's go. Let's go. Hell yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, nice. Waiting for the service. Yes, fair. Only 2 people got bullied today, guys. Only 2 people got bullied. We're getting better at not pushing over our customers. Which I didn't think was something it would have to get better at, but apparently we do. So, it's fine. It's fine. do. Nice. Yeah. Clean, 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 clean. Awesome. All right. Actually, hang on. Before we go around and clean everything. Actually, we need to sledgehammer it, don't we? Yeah. Okay. All right. What do we reckon? Do we change? Let's do this one. Let's destroy this one. I reckon. Yeah. Let's update this one. Buddy, I feel the silence underneath in these eyes. All right. Do we want a rectangle? Let's go. No, let's go around one. Around one's fun. Yeah. Waterpark. Yeah. And then a slide. Oh, we haven't unlocked any other slides. Hang on. Can we unlock any more slides? Let's have a look. Surely. It's been a shame tomorrow morning. Ooh, basic slides. Okay, so we go water gun. Oh, I don't have any money. It's fine. It's fine. As soon as we open, we'll get some money and we'll be good. Right? Oh. There we go. We're good. We're good. Look, this probably wasn't the best spacing out of this, but that's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So crated, blood is jaded. Completed. Yeah. Nice and clean and repaired. Excellent. Alright. We got the new toots. Nice. Nice. Oh, good God. So much maintenance. So much maintenance needs to be done, team. We need to start turning more of a profit so I can hire someone. Okay, alright. Bedtime. Blood is jaded. Okay. Alright, you know what? We'll throw that trash bag out. Chuck that down. Oh, we have my water gun now too, so I can spray customers. Alright, alright. Let's open up. Let's go. We got this. That is a nice looking pool. That is a nice looking pool. I'm excited by it, team. I'm excited by it. Ooh, customers. All right. 4 hours for a senior with a slide pass. Nice. Oh, dunk. I forgot I'm out of water. Dang it. Dang it. Hello, 6 hours, adult, slide pass. Let's go. Let's go. Nice. All right, 6 hours, teen, slide pass. Let's go. Nice. Margaret, 4 hours, senior, no slide pass. You are. 4 hours, adult, slide pass. Nice. Guys, we've got a line. We have a line. I love it when you play this game because it brings out your Kath and Kim voice. I know it does, doesn't it? 4 hours, teen, no slide pass. I don't know what it is with the simulator games. I'm like, yes. Oh, smelly guests. Ew. It's okay. It's okay. We go stinky. We go stinky. We're good. We got him. We got him. We're good. 6 hours. Senior slide pass. Nice. Someone's waiting for a lemonade. All right, hang on. 8 hours. Teen. No slide pass. There you are. What do you want? 6 hours. Teen. Slide pass. Oh! Oh! Someone just yeeted themselves over there. That was very funny. All right. You want lemonade? Add lemon. All right. There you go. You want my friend? Another stinky. Another stinky. Got him. Got him. We're all good. Oh, no. Dirty and damaged. Oh, no. No, someone's drowning. I don't. Oh, no. Oh, no, guys. Someone's drowning. Someone's drowning. Quick, quick, quick. Yeet. Got him. We got him. We're all good. We're all good. All right. Plain hot dog. There you are, my friend. We're good. We're okay. Everybody's okay. Everybody's okay. No one's dying. No one's drowning. We are out of hot dogs, though, which is a bit of an issue. So, yeah. Okay, so Massimo decided to drown.
Welcome.
And then go straight for a hot dog. You know what? That's valid. That's valid. I would also just go straight for a hot dog. There you are, my friend. You're welcome. Yeet. Boop. Okay. Which way? This way. Here we go. Nice. No one's waiting. We're good. That's fine. That's fine. Let's give it a clean. Someone else is waiting for a hottie dog. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, and I sneeze. Add both? Hell yeah. There you are, friend. Ooh. Nose is itchy. All right. Let me clean this bad boy. Let me also repair it. Someone else is waiting for another hottie dog. Let's go. Let's go. Selling all the hot dogs, guys. Add ketchup? Hell yeah. There you go. Repair. No. Oh, this one does need repairing. There we go. Nice. Gotta clean it too. It's a bit manky. It's a bit manky. Good. Oh no, they changed the mobile layout. I'm lost, but I'm also chilled. Hello. How you doing? How you doing, Jazzy? All right. Do. E. Oh, hi. Hi, beautiful girl. Hi. I don't know if you guys can see her. She's just here. Oh, there's a hair on my nose. Hi, beautiful girl. Want some lemonade? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Add ice. There you are, my friend. Hi. You want lemonade? Add lemon. Let's go. Let's go. There you are. Another stinky trash bin. Let me grab that. Yeet. Do. Can you tell from the look in your eyes? Oop. Nice. Beautiful girl. 104 daily snags. Let's go. Let's go. Oh! Brother! This is sempiternal. We have a friend that wants a hot dog. Add both. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Nice. First. My god, Edward, I thought you were dying. God damn! God damn! Edward has got a dumpy. Edward's got a dumpy. Why do they eat the fucking hot dogs like that? It wigs me out. Now you want a lemonade? Just lemonade by itself? Hell yeah. There you go, my friend. 20 bucks for a lemonade. That's crazy. Oh, someone wants to buy a ticket. Hello, 4 hours. Teen. No slide pass. There you go, my friend. 8 hours. Adult. Slide pass. Hell yeah. Let's go. Almost 5 years. That's crazy. That's actually nuts. That's actually nuts. Yay. Spread the love with a water gun. We can do that. We'll get my guests wet. We can do that. 8 hours. Senior. Slide pass. Again with the gilfs, man. Alright, 4 hours, senior slide pass. Ooh, I think I have a cat hair stuck in my nose ring. 4 hours, senior slide pass, let's go. Let's see. Who wants to be squirted on? Stop spraying me! Not cool at all. Oh, okay. Waiting for my brother to drop in his 6 years or something insane. Valid. Boop. 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 Nice. Love the splash. See, he loves it. Yikes, that's dirty. Well, luckily, I'm trying to clean. I'm coming. Hello, 6 hours, senior, slide pass. Hell yeah. Nice. Wait, what? Oh yeah. Stop spraying me. Oh. Fun surprise splash. Just a plain dog. Plain dog for you, friend. Oh. Oop. Lemonade, add lemon. Let's go. Fizz! How are we doing, my love?
Physical Design just subscribed for 64 months.
Hell yeah! That's so many monthlies! How you doing, my love? How you doing? I miss you. Mellow and Curry drops in with their lifetime achievement following literally. Sleepy Big. God damn! God damn. 8 hours, adult, slide pass. Let's go, let's go. Nice. I'm sorry you're sleepy. Oh my god, sorry. My nose is so itchy. I think I had a cat hair and it's just been irritating it. Oh my god. Okay, we're good. Maybe. What animal would you like? For your subby wubby, my love. Thank you so much for the resub. Fun surprise splash! Stop spraying me! Sorry. Waterpark Simulator, it's so much fun. Oh my god. Could y'all just stop getting like under my feet? Any aquatic ones? I have a penguin. Yeah, the full game dropped this week and it's so good. Like, I already loved this game and now like the full game is out. It's like even better. It's so good. We've got a beach themed. And it's got multiplayer now too. So you can like run it with friends. Which is sick. Yo, Meadow! How you
Mezzo
doing?
just subscribed for 65 months. Can you believe some people only sub for 64 months? Crazy.
How you doing, Mezzo? Piss off for having that extra month. I know, I don't understand. I don't understand why you don't have that extra month. It makes no sense to me at all. No sense.
Choo choo chickies.
Choo choo chickies. Oh, sorry, buddy. My bad. Oh yeah, the OGs. How are we? Fizz, did you want a penguin? And Mezzo, what animal would you like for your resub? I got a penguin, I got rabbit, I got chicken, I got a bear, I got cat, I got piggy, I got a tiger, and I also have a froggy as well. Fizz, I'll do you a little oh, I do have a froggy as well, Fizz. I guess that's kind of aquatic. I will hydrate. I do need to go and I need to fill up my water bottle. Unless Maddie Melly wants to come fill my water bottle up for me. Maybe. Otherwise I'm just gonna hydrate with Coke. Nice. Some people just love you a little bit more. Flog, hell yeah. Hell yeah. It's a cruel world. How you guys been? When are we getting a Fizz and Mezzo stream again? I miss y'all.
This message is for Mezzo and only Mezzo. Fuck you, mate.
Thank you for the biddies, Spiz. I appreciate you. You guys are funny. I got so many froggies on the board this month. Hell yeah. Let's go. Yee. Yee. Let's go. Okay. Alright. Alright. What are we on? We've made $700 today, so that's good. That's good. Alright. Slides. Wait, no, that's right. We're gonna unlock. We needed to unlock. We need to unlock the slides. Ouch. Big ouch. Alright, basic slide. Let's go. Alright. Let's go basic lounges. A popcorn stand. That's new. Cleanliness management. Ooh, yes. Okay, I am going to do that. I am going to do that. I know that was 3 of my points, but fuck, man. The maintenance has been crazy. Okay. Small spiral. Fuck yes. Yes. Sensational. Sensational. The best started following Wolfie on March 20th, 2021. So many months ago. I love that. I actually just set up my PC at the new players. I have to go, yes! How exciting. How exciting. Yeah, Meadow, when are you gonna stream with that simulator taking up an entire room of our home? Oh my god. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm so excited you guys have moved into a new place. That's exciting. Time flies, literally. That's actually crazy. That's actually fucking crazy. Like, insane. It's not that big. That's what she said. All right. We're gonna. No, she didn't. we're gonna get rid of these fuck ugly things. Hell yeah! Thank you guys so much for the hype train. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Nice. All right. Let's go with the nice. Ooh. Maybe we can't go with the nice rectangle pool yet. It's too big. I'm gonna move that there. The best random raid find ever. Literally. Following your friends for online for more than 5 years. Literally. So good. That's what she said. Hang on. We're just gonna move that way. That way a bit. There. Okay, now I can fit my shower here. There we go. Alright. Yeah, buddy. Nice. Okay, alright. There, and then there. Excellent. Slides. Let's go one of these bad boys. Excellent. Yay! Look at this. This is looking great. Let me build this bad boy. So I need to clean 5 smelly guests. On this stream. Alright, I have $11 now. I have no money. But I say it's a nice slide. That's what I reckon too. It is a great slide. I got that slide. I got the little swirly whirly one over there. This is looking good. Miss and Zad, how we doing? Welcome on in. You are the chosen one. Entertain us. I hope I can. to the $18. Raid! Guys, we got a raid. We got some friends. Hell yeah. Welcome on in, raiders. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Whimsy Wolfie, if you haven't been here before. My pronouns are they, them. I am a queer, chronically ill chaos gremlin from Australia. We are currently playing Waterpark Simulator, and it has been fantastic. So many people have been pooing in my pools and not using my toilets. But it's been so much fun. I'm so glad the full game has dropped. I was obsessed with this last year, and now I am obsessed with it yet again. But yeah, welcome on in, my love. How was your stream? What were you up to? Let me give you a little shouty outy. I'm peeing in the pool, literally. Guys, if you're not following Little Miss NZ, please go and do so. Please. I hope your stream was wonderful. My love, if you do need to go and get your post-stream self-care, your snacks, your beverages, your rest, please go and do so. Otherwise, if you want to hang out with us, we're going to be causing some more chaos for a bit longer. And I really appreciate you trusting me with your community. I was playing Black Flag Racing. Hell yes. Hell yes. I do need to get it. I need to get it. I need to go and wash my facial hair off. Oh my god, did you dress like a pirate? Stop. Stop. Hell yeah. I don't know if you can. Here we go. This is what my character looks like. I am a ducky with a dumpy. And I did tell chat that if we hit 20 subs, I will do a Waterpark Sim dressed as a ducky with a dumpy. You have facially haired pirates now. I love that. That's incredible. I love that so much. But yeah, there's full-on character customization now in the game. It's so good. And there's multiplayer too. I'm trying to convince Maddie Mello to play with me. I think that'd be fantastic. All right, I think we're looking all right. We're looking okay. We have one more point left. What was the good bins? Ah, it's 2. Dang. Okay, that's okay. Tomorrow we'll get the good bins. I've been looking at getting this game because it does look really fun. It's so much fun. So much fun. I'm actually obsessed with like simulator games like this. I love them so much. It's just chaos. Absolute chaos, and I love it. I love it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Is that the Mafia? My mother should definitely play with you. 100%. 100%. If you guys haven't watched us play, like, multiplayer games, like, especially, like, Overcooked and shit, too, we just yell at each other. Well, I yell at him. I saw the rubber ducky. I put them all on the shelf game yesterday. Oh my god, yes. Yes. Do it. Do it. Is the Mafia just gonna... You've got a witch's hat on. I'm obsessed with you. You're incredible. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You didn't pay your mob tax this month. Yeah, I apparently have not. I've got $17 in my bank account though. Like, there's not gonna be much of a mob tax this month. No, the witch's hat staying on? I'm obsessed. Actually obsessed. What a legend. What a legend. Oop, oop, oop. We have another customer. Same though. Yeah. More witches. Hello? Is it Halloween? Is it Halloween? I love this for us. 4 hours for a teen with a slide pass. Let's go. Let's go. This is too good. There was... What? What? Hell yeah. So good. Okay, alright, we need to print out some flyers, I think. And we need to go... Should we give the Mafia some flyers? I think we should. There's gonna be a ad in a second, my loves. Can I give the Mafia the flyer? What do you want? Oh. 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 Running a place like this ain't cheap, huh? Repairs, stuff, angry customers. If you need money, I have plenty of it. Just Take these 750. No contracts, no paperwork. Just trust between businessmen. I'm good. Pride doesn't pay bills, buddy. See you later. Okay. Uh-oh. I just want to... Everyone, it must be Halloween! It's Halloween! Guys, I may have made an error by trying to give the mafia a flyer. Guys, this is incredible. They're all dressed like monsters. Yes! The skeleton! That's me. That's me in the mornings. Before my coffee. The pool is gonna be filled with body paint. Yeah, I know, right? Literally. Literally. I remember, our school got banned from the local pool, because we had our, swimming sports. And people wore blue, like, colored face paint and stuff. And jumped in the pool. Waterpark Simulator is so much fun. It is so much fun. So much fun. I love it so much. Oh no. Oh, there's ghosties? Oh, it's candy! It was candy! Stop! I'm obsessed. Add mustard. Alright, alright. Here you go, my love. Oh, I can't get there. The skeleton. Where is this gonna go? I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Where is this gonna go? Oh, we got a stinky customer. We got a stinky customer. Thank you. All right. Excellent. Now I just have an empty bag. Hang on. Can I just like drop that here? Empty bag? We have enough plastic. I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought someone died in your pool already. That $17 not going to get you far in court. I know. I know. It's okay. I made them sign a waiver. At both? Hell yeah. Oh, we need more hot dogs. We need more glizzies. Can I push the mafia guy over?
Welcome to Kmart.
I mean, it probably wouldn't be ideal, but I could, maybe. Maybe. Alright, we've stocked up. Erin wants some lemonade. Add ice and lemon. There you are, my friend. Hell yeah. The way they eat wigs me out still, though. I will admit. Oh, now Erin wants a hot dog. Okay. Okay. Coming. Add both. Hell yeah. There you go. I love that Erin decided to go the different way. Everyone usually goes hot dog, then lemonade. But Erin was like, no, I'm going to go lemonade, then hot dog. Add ice and lemon. Let's go. Nice. Ooh. You would like a plain glizzy for you, my love. Add both. Excellent. There you go. Let me gather that trash. Yeet. All right, we need more lemons. We need more lemons.
Welcome to Kmart.
Everyone's in outfits and costumes. I love this. One plain weenie, please. Excellent. All right. Oh, more candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Boop, boop. Ooh, my eyes itchy. Real good team. We're fine. Boop. Boop. Nope, that's clean. Excellent. Excellent. Really? Nice. Nice. Excellent. Oh. Another stinky. More candy. Yay. Give me that. I can't. It's so funny. Uh-oh. Oh no, someone wanted a hot dog. I didn't know. I'm sorry, friend. I'm sorry. That's my bad. Oh, people want decorations. I keep forgetting. I need to decorate. Hey, come to my words. Come to my water park. My God. My brain is working, clearly. It's okay, everybody. It's okay. All right. Someone wants to come in. Amazing. Hell yeah. 4 hours. Teen slide pass. Let's go. There you are, my friend. You want teen no slide pass 6 hours. Hell yeah. Question, when is PAX this year? It is really soon. Like 10 weeks away, I think Lammy was saying. It's like October something. I can't remember the exact date, sorry. But yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up real soon. Which is exciting. It is the 9th to the 11th of October. 6 hours, team, slide pass. Let's go. I'm so excited. Team, slide pass. Hell yeah. Someone is waiting for a lemonade. Oh, someone also wants a hot dog. You just want lemonade? There you are, friend. Hot dog. Trevor! I was right here. No, 9th to the 11th, sorry. Boop, 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 boop. Nice. All right. Oh, more trash. You want a hot dog? Trevor wants his hot dog. Trevor's come back for his hot dog. Hell yeah. Oh no, someone's panicking on the diving board. Push. Yeah, it's in Melbourne. It's at the Melbourne Exhibition and Convention Centre. MCEC? Alright, okay. What did I want? Oh yeah, the basic trash bin. That's what I wanted. We can expand. We can expand our park, team. We can expand our park. Oh my god, candy. Ooh. Hello. 4 hours. Oh no, someone's drowning. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. 2 seconds, friend. Where's me? Yeet. Franco, don't drown. It's okay. We got them. We got them. It would be on their PAX website. I know the 3-day passes have sold out, and I think the Saturday passes are like 60% sold out, if not more, I believe. But yeah. Oh, stinky trash. Someone wants a hot dog. Give me candy. Give me candy. More candy. Oop, sorry. I think I pushed them over. Yeet. Hot dog with both. Nice. So I came for PAX. Same. It's gonna be so much fun. So much fun. Yeet. Oh, that's right. I forgot. Hello. 4 hours. Adult. No slide pass. All right. There you are, my friends. Another stinky trash. Oop. Candy. Yeet. Oh, all right. Candy. Amazing. All right. Okay, we need some decorations in here. Let's have a look. Let's get some of these bad boys. Thank you for the follow, darling. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. All right. Oh, they're cute. Little gift boxes. Well, that's fun. All right, let's chuck a tree here. A tree here. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's do that there as well. So that's kind of like, yeah. These people are so pale. It's like Twilight in here. Hell yeah. We love Twilight. I love that I have to build the bushes. Candy! There we go. There we go. Nice. Boop. 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 Let's go. Thank you for the follow. Welcome on in. Little Miss NZ in the house. How yeah. Thank you so much for coming across with the raid, my love. I appreciate it. I hope your evening has been wonderful. More candy. All right. Let's do that. Let's do that. Ooh, that is looking a little worse for wear. Just a little worse for wear. That's okay. All right. I feel like part of me wants to get the popcorn. The popcorn stand, but I don't know if I can deal with... Oh, give me that. I don't know if I can deal with that just myself. Like, like that's a lot of work. That's like 3 stands plus tickets that I've got to, I've got to deal with. Plus all the maintenance and the running around. Like yeah. I think we're gonna kind of wait for that one, unfortunately. But that's okay. That's okay. Nice. All right. Okay. Oh, I did want to get some new bins, didn't I? Yes. Okay. I got the new trash bins. Okay. 65 bucks each. How much do I have? Okay. Okay. We're good. We're good. All right. Let me grab me sledgehammer. Whee! Gonna do that. And that one. And that one. And this one as well. Excellent. All right. Yeet that. And then... utility, a bin. All right. Where was it? There. There was one over here, wasn't there? Yeah. Oh. There. Here. One over here. Yeah, that should be good. All right. That's still quite full. Oh, that one. Nice. Donk, donk. Nice. I need to throw that other bin out. Whee! Nice. Hey. Nice throw. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Did we get newer showers? Not yet. Okay. Ooh, we do have a basic lounges though. Okay, let's update our lounges tune. Let's do that. Let's do that. Lee. Nice. Excellent. And then... Ugh. I went too far. I went too far. A lot of them like standing right on the edge of the pool. Nice. Nice. All right. Excellent. Maximum gas capacity increased by 1. Let's go. It's 9. Up to 10. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right. We need more decorations. We need more decorations. Yeah. Nice upgrade. Thank you. Thank you. Can I pop that there too? I can. Amazing. Excellent. Just trying to hide some of the weird shit. Wait, have I not... Not that trash being there that entire time. That's so embarrassing. That's so funny. That's so funny. Beautiful. All right. Excellent. Excellent. Look, it's looking a little better. It's looking a little better. It's not perfect, but we're getting there. All right. All right. I reckon I got one more day in me, my friends. Oh, the mafia's gone. Hell yeah. Good. Good. I'm going to be there all 3 days. I'm going to be there all 3 days. 10, 4 hours, no slide. All right. Excellent. Yay. Yay. I'm so excited. Ooh. Wee. I'm gonna go drop my sledgehammer. I'm not gonna need that. Oh, another customer. Hello. 4 hours, teen, slide pass. Let's go. There we go, nicely. No more mafia. Exactly. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Slide pass as well. Stinky customer, stinky customer. Uh-oh, hang on. Gotcha. We're good, we're good. Planning to go on the Saturday? Hell yeah. 4 hours, teen, slide pass. Alright, someone already wants the lemonade. Okay, alright. Teen, 6 hours, slide pass. There you are. Teen, 6 hours, slide pass. I love that. Didn't have to change anything. Love that. Alright, lemonade. What would you like? Add ice and lemon. Hell yeah. There you go. Whee! Fabian wants a hot dog with ketchup. There you are, my friend. Eee. Eee. Do-do-do-do. This is looking good. This is looking good. Oh god, this is filthy. Ew. Oh no, someone's drowning! Why? Don't do that. Oh, and someone needs to push as well. Alright, hang on. I gotcha, I gotcha, I gotcha, I gotcha. Alright, alright. And push you. Alright. People have been saved. People have been pushed in the pool. We're doing well. Oh, someone wants a lemonade. Add lemon. Excellent. I can do that for you, my love. There you go. There you go. Yay. Hello. 6 hours, teen, slide pass. There you go. Adult, 6 hours, slide pass. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Someone wants a lemonade? Just lemonade. Alright. Excellent. Can do that for you. There you are, my friend. Lemonade. Add ice and lemon. Yeah, I'd hope so, right? Right? Oop. Hello. 6 hours, teen, slide pass. Hell yeah. Nice. We're almost at capacity. Teen, slide pass, 6 hours. Nice. Teen, slide pass, 6 hours. There we go. We need to, I think I need to expand. I've got 3. Someone's waiting for lemonade. Oh god. And someone wants to buy a ticket. All right. Okay. Okay. Add ice and lemon. We got this. Sweat so hold me tight. What do we got? 4 hours. Senior slide pass. Let's go. Oh god. Someone's panicking. Ah! Yeet! In they go. When you go, do you get the lanyard? Yes, you do. Yeah, yeah. So you get the, so I think the free mail out is ending soon, and then you have to pay, or you have to like pick it up on the weekend. And then you get like your little badge, and then you can pick up a lanyard while you're in there as well. They're usually like branded with one of the sponsors. But yeah. Or you can wear your own one as well. I wear my, my sunflower lanyard. All right, what did I want? Park size level, $300 redos. Ooh, okay, all right, let's do that. And then you know what? Let's do that as well. Let's do that as well. And let's do tips. Fuck it, why not? We gotta make some money. We gotta make some more money. Oh god, there's so much trash. Oh no! I didn't realize that was gonna... Oh, I fucked up. I fucked up. I fucked up big time, guys. I thought it was only a little bit first, but it's not. It's like the whole nother section. Yes, 5 skeleton tickets. His birthday's on the 19th of August. Hell yeah. That'll be sick. That'll be sick. Oh no. It's okay. It's alright. It's alright. Oopsies. Oh god. Jackson's drowning again? Again? Don't drown. Where's my thingy? I gotcha. Alright, alright. Add ice and lemon. There you are, my friend. Oh god. Stinky trash. It's okay, everybody. We got this. This is fine. OH&S will not have a field day with this at all. It's so fine that I'm swinging a sledgehammer around and breaking everything up in front of people. It's okay. It's okay. Someone wants a hot dog. All right, no worries. No worries. No, don't destroy me. I'm sorry. Oh god, we need more hot dogs. Guys, we're out of glizzies.
Hey.
There you go. There you go, my friend. All right, we need glizzies. We need glizzies. Just quickly fill up this. There we go. Trash bag a bit. All right, let's go get some glizzies. Whee!
Welcome to Kmart.
Thank you. Wow, car. Actually, what happens if I get hit by the car whilst I'm holding the glizzies? Like, did the glizzies don't go flying? Alone is the piece of me. 8 hours. Adult. Slide pass. Let's go. So, take it. Take the ticket. Take the ticket. Ah. Hi. 4 hours. Teen. No slide. Nice. Teen, 4 hours, no slide. Nice. 6 hours with a slide pass. Excellent. And we are at capacity again. Let's go, team. Let's go. Oh. You want a hot dog? Add ketchup. There you go. Oh, someone wants lemonade. Add ice. Okay. Nice. Oh god. Alright, let's remove that bush. Fabian now wants lemonade. Lemonade. Oh, you're stinky. Let me just... Thank you. Just ice. Okay. This is fine. We're doing well. We're doing well. I love that I can just do all this. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I love that it looks like I'm wearing rubber gloves. I'm not. It's actually just my duck outfit because I'm amazing. At least we have a bunch of palm trees already. Emerald wants a hot dog. Coming. I definitely wash my hands. Definitely wash my hands. Oh, Jaden wants a hot dog now too. There you go. Nice. Nice. Guys, we're smashing this. We're smashing this. Ooh. Eh. Nice. Remove bush. E. Nice. Remove bush. Destroy that. Excellent. Oh, someone is waiting to buy a ticket. Yay! Someone wants a lemonade. All right, add ice. Cool. There you go. Lemonade stand needs to be restocked. Oh no! All right, what do we want? 4 hours. Teen, no slide. All right. Sorry. We need lemons. Ah, sorry. Was that someone sneaking in? That looked like someone sneaking in. Add ice. There you are, my friend. Oh, no, he has a wristband. Okay, 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 okay. We're good, we're good. Alright, just a lemonade. There you are. Hot dog, add ketchup. There you are, my friend. Alright. Excellent. Oops, someone else wants to buy a ticket, guys. We've cracked $1,000. We've cracked $1,000. Let's go. Let's go. Alright. 6 hours, adult with a slide pass. You're gonna be here till midnight, apparently. Ooh, that's gross. That's a bit gross and dirty. Hi, Ducky. How we doing? How we doing? Ew, that's feral. Ooh. Oh, no. Oh, no. An unlucky guest just broke something. Smack him. What did they break? What did they break? Oh, my shower. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Thank you for the heart me, my love. I appreciate it. Let's go. Let's go. We got this. Yeah. Nice. I'm gonna join you one day. You got Waterpark Sim multiplayer. Maybe. I tend to just kind of play with my IRL friends. Ooh, nice. On stream and stuff, but we'll see. We'll see. Hell yeah. Oops, stinky bin. Stinky bin. Oh, this way. Yeet. All right. Nice. Yes, I do. Yeah. Whee! Yay! That was a great day, too. That was a great day. Boop. Oh. There we go. Thank you. All right, let's prepare everything. I've been good, thank you, my love. I've been good. Just been working away, trying to get as much content and stuff done as possible, which is exciting. There is gonna be some ads in a seckie. Excellent. That's cool, yeah. I've been pretty happy with how I've been going with my YouTube channel and stuff. With like my gaming one. I've been doing like a lot of like demo playthroughs and stuff on it, which has been fun. If y'all aren't sub to it, you should be. Just saying. Just saying. Kitty Cat is doing very well. She was hanging out with us just before, actually. It was very cute. It was very cute. Yay. Bonk. I played Bowling Alley Simulator. That's cool. That's cool. There's been so many simulator games coming out lately. It's been awesome. Alright. Let's finish smashing all these, just building, destroying the buildings. Reckon you'd like it? Yeah, I probably would. I probably would. I'm so happy that we got the full release of Waterpark Sim. It's so good. I love the customization and everything like that they've added to it now. It's fantastic. That one. Mop poop. Ew. Ew. Not the poo. Open to buy the tickets Monday or Tuesday? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Love the beach venue. Yeah, right. It's so cute. It's so cute. It is funny that you still need to mop the sand though. I will have to giggle at that. Whee! Nice. R.I.P. Bush. R.I.P. What did I want? That one. That one. Welcome back, my lovelies. Thank you guys so much for sitting through those ads. I appreciate it. Nice. More poop. Ew. They put a lot in this game. They really have. Yeah, they've added in so much. Added in so much since the last time I played it. It's sick. Boop, boop, boop. Nice. Oh my god. We're almost there. We're almost there. And then we can add some more pools. Hell yeah. Mop that up. Mop this one up. I think I'm still in the... Yeah, I'm like 1.5 stars, I think. At the moment. I restarted. It's like I've started a new water park because I kind of wanted to like start it again with the whole, like with everything that was new. So we just started again this evening. Yeah. I'm just needing to clean 2 more smelly guests and then I should get my 2nd star. So we're getting there. We're getting there slowly. Yeah. That bush. Alright, a couple more things to mop up and then we just got some trash to pick up, I think. And then it's clean! Yay! We're getting there. Slowly but surely. Then hopefully we can start hiring people. That'll be fantastic. That one. I think I really just want someone on tickets mainly. But even then, I remember they're so slow. The water should soak in the sand though. This is true. Can't believe a trash bag costs $3. That's actually insane. Like, why is one trash bag $3? I mean, we are charging like $20 for lemonade, so I really can't complain too much about $3 trash bags. All right, I think I got it all. Hell yeah! Awesome. All right. I think I'm gonna finish up there, my lovelies. Let me save the game. Yes. All right. Tiki Talk, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight. I really appreciate it. Thanks for all the likes and the follows, and the coins as well. That was really lovely. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. All right. Twitchy poos, my love. Don't get me started on how much I hate the concept of trash bags. Pay money to literally throw something in the garbage. Literally. All right. Let's see. It is live. Oh my god, guys, I'm seeing Dayseeker. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Sleep song. Drink and drive. Let go. The worst is yet to come. Thanks so much for a nice Waterpark stream. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate you. Let's go and raid the wonderful Neuronox. They're currently playing Resident Evil, which is very cool. I don't know if you guys remember, I was on the Let's Roll for Dragons stream a while ago, but they were on there with me. And fun fact, I'm gonna be returning to the Let's Roll for Dragons stream in a couple of weeks' time. I'm super excited. I will let you guys know when it's gonna be and everything. I'm super excited. It's gonna be great. Let's go raid. Where are they? Where are we at? There we go. All right. Mezzo says bye. Bye, Mezzo. I love you guys too. You guys are wonderful. I hope to meet you at PAX. Fuck yeah, that'll be sick. To all of our new friends here as well, come follow me on all of my socials. And come join the Discord as well. I also have a YouTube channel that is strictly for gaming now. It's called Whimsy Wolfie Gaming. Go check it out. I've been doing a couple of demo playthroughs on there as well, which have been really, really fun, and I've been having a lot of fun doing them, so it'd be sick if you guys could do that. Go check it out, sub it, or watch my shit. That'd be amazing. You guys are wonderful. Stay safe, eat snackies, and I will see you guys. I'll see you guys next stream. Whoops, wrong button, team. Mwah.